Hello, everyone, and welcome to BadgerPod NerdCast number 23, Smegheads. On today's show, we're going to be talking about, well, British science fiction stuff. So let me quickly go around and introduce all the people that are on the panel. First, I'll start with myself. My name is Brian Martinez. I am the author and artist behind Good Guy Comics, and you can find all the crap under that in the low bar. Next, we have Allison.
I'm Allison Tiemann. I am the artist and writer of a comic that has been described as it's sexy science fiction weirdness, and I'll throw it back to Brian.
Good pass. And next we
Oh my God!
next we have Hannah Wallen.
Hi, I'm Hannah Wallen, author of Breaking the Glasses at breakingtheglasses.blogspot.com. I do a whole bunch of other things, but links to those things are actually in the sidebar of that blog, so I'll let you go and take a look. And back to you, Brian.
Thank you, Hannah. Next we have Dr. Randercam. Please, Mike.
Hello, yes. Just to explain, we used to do no intros, and then we did long intros, and now we do short intros. Da, 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 da. Are you happy now? Who's next?
They're never happy. No, you cannot please the YouTube audience. It's a law of physics.
I'm happy.
We're giving it a go, though.
Yeah,
see,
but you're not a YouTube audience.
We've got a whole new phase with the little bits of silly
Yeah, but
play.
we're going to piss them off with something else.
Hey, it's always better to be pissed off than pissed on, unless you're into that kind of thing, which I'm not, as a germaphobe.
Alright, let's do Rachel and then crack on. Rachel.
Hi, I'm Rachel and I have problems with the mute button. I write things and own people on Tumblr, and you can find a link to my Tumblr probably on the low bar, so let's get the show on the road.
All right, and in 3 minutes, suck it, bitches. Okay, so we're going to get right into the first
my
topic.
God, we owned that. we fucking owned that.
Yeah, that was awesome. Oh, wait, we'll talk about that later. You want to do Fine Young Capitalists and anything else later? We'll do that at the end. Let's go right in.
I actually think...
Oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah, we'll do it at the end.
Okay, we'll do it.
If you're interested, Fine Young Capitalist is doing another contest. It's an art-related contest. It's slightly confusing unless they've updated it, but you can go to their site at thefineyoungcapitalist.com. It's basically celebrating diversity in the Not Your Shield hashtag, which, if you understand what the Not Your Shield hashtag is, you'll understand its slightly trollish nature of what's going on. But I'll leave that to anybody who's interested. And move on.
All right. So, yeah, go check it out. So first up, we're going to talk about Red Dwarf. Mike, you did the writing for it, so why don't you do the reading for it?
Okie dokie. If, in some fit of fevered creative ennui, you were to sit down one day and devise the most difficult and awkward possible idea for a sitcom, perhaps just to challenge yourself, you might come up with a scenario like, there's one man trapped in a tin can, 3 million years into deep space. You're not allowed any other humans, and you're not allowed any aliens. And this is precisely what happened. One fateful day in the early 80s, when this mother of invention fell to Earth and proceeded to have a passionate threesome with Mr. Rob Grant and Mr. Doug Naylor. The fat crimson blob that plopped out was called Red Dwarf. That one man is Dave Lister, lowest ranking technician aboard the mining ship Red Dwarf. While the rest of the crew were killed by a radiation leak, Lister survived in suspended animation, only emerging after a safe fallout period of 3 million years. His only companion is the now somewhat senile ship's computer, Holly. And at this point, Holly is faced with the same hapless task as our writers, aforementioned Messrs. Grant and Naylor. You have the only human alive. He's a man. Who or what do you give him to talk to or play with? You might think, a woman? Well, that was God's mistake. Grant and Naylor are smarter than that. They gave him Arnold Rimmer, a hologram who is male. They gave him the cat, a felinoid human who is male, and eventually they gave him Crichton 2X4B523P, an android. And when you think about it, all androids are male. The female ones would be called gynoids. All of which speaks volumes, does it not? You think you people invented MGTOW? Since the 80s, Red Dwarf has reminded us that all a man really needs is a cat, an interactive plasma screen, and a sex robot that doesn't even have to look female, and he could survive in deep space for 6 seasons of hilarity. And then they bring in Kachansky. Navigation officer Christine Kachansky, who died in the radiation leak, was Lister's love interest and the one who got away, for whom he spends those 6 seasons pining. And fair enough, that's a tried and tested arc driver. The quest to rekindle a lost love. Especially fair enough since you have a range of arc drivers here. Rimmer's not mourning someone else's death, he's mourning his own death. And it shows. Rimmer is the archetypal sycophantic shitweasel. The anally retentive military failure and dimly luminescent reanimation of a dead Smeghead. His arc driver is the series of false starts that is his career as a reflection of his familial inadequacies. You have Crichton, the emotionally insecure service droid, whose arc driver, much like most fictional androids, is his journey to break his programming and become an individualistic, free-thinking agent. And you have the cat, who, to this date, has no arc driver at all. He's just a cat. And while Crichton's arc is the only truly potentially everlasting one, and Rimmer's arc came to an unexpected nadir at the end of Season 10, Lister's arc shows us a harsh reality of nature, played out in the fiction of character dynamics. If you spend years waiting, pining, pleading for the appearance of a pedestalized apparition of a woman, then when that woman finally turns up, you will probably get 2.5 seasons of thoroughly disappointing bullshit, about which we do not speak. Red Dwarf was, by design and principle, an exercise in avoiding the cliches. Red Dwarf's Spock was not a genius. He was the biggest smeghead of all. Red Dwarf's robot butler did not have a refined British accent. He spoke like you would expect a cheap robot to speak, in a dodgy, glitchy accent that set off from Vancouver and crash-landed somewhere in Boston. Red Dwarf didn't have a dashing Han Solo and his gigantic alien bodyguard. They had what you would actually get from life in confined deep space. A drunken, curry-stained man-child and his mutated cat. That's what made Red Dwarf so unique. That's what made it so inventive. That's what continues to make it such a tough act to follow. Also, that's why it was destined to disappear up itself when it achieved a cult following, with amassed fanatic hordes of scary, deep geeks like me who can recite every line, even the backwards ones. Because at that point, you're the one creating the cliches. At that point, you're many people's pick for best show on TV ever. At that point, you're the show every second of which is forever burned into this reviewer's memory like the telltale signs of a neglected monitor. At that point, all you can do is try and keep cranking out the classics. And they tried. Discuss.
Oh gosh.
Wow, you dropped us. Dropped
Every
us a little on our
episode
heads
is
there.
awesome.
Sudden.
Every fucking episode is awesome.
Look.
I would,
don't get me started.
no, I would have to agree.
It's a shadow of their former selves. To put it.
Yeah,
No,
I
I mean
agree.
the ones that I watched. I actually haven't watched the newer seasons.
I imagine
So
if you came into that first, it would seem like a good show. But
Yes,
yeah,
yes. It was great.
for those of us who waited 4 years for that season, it was
I couldn't stop
It
looking
was-
at his hairdo though.
wasn't.
You know the hairdo. It's just the fucking dreads in the back, and then there's like the thing on the front. What the fuck was I thinking? It was the 80s.
Was that a sentence?
Okay, like Mike knows what I'm talking
Rachel
about.
doesn't do
Lister's-
sentences.
Lister's fucking hair.
I think that was an 80s thing.
Yeah, it's just I don't know.
I don't think it's an anything's thing. I think they entered it in wardrobe to be quirky or something.
Oh, God.
Imagine that. Imagine putting some furry thing on your head just for quirk.
I like the ones when they find themselves somehow going back in time.
Yeah.
It's stuff like or just the ones where it's just some ridiculous... Oh, wait, no, that's every episode. Some ridiculous thing that just goes... It goes off on a tangent, and then they just follow it all the way to the end. It's like, oh, I see what you're doing there. This can only go badly.
Yeah. Well, every character is a screwball, basically. It's much the case with most British sitcoms. It's the same with the young ones. They're all incompetent, unlikable people. On paper, it's not supposed to work. But it always works. This is why British comedy is so awesome. They don't let you do that in American shows. You've got to have at least one likable person, or everyone's got to be fundamentally likable. And that doesn't fucking work. Alison's written a name. Are you trying to talk?
Yeah, I've been trying to talk. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Good,
All
go.
right. Well, I wanted to. I should be talking. I wanted to read it. I wanted to agree with Mike. I think the addition of Kochansky just destroyed it all. She doesn't work as a character. She's too Mary Sue-ish, perhaps.
Yeah, she actually appears to know what she's doing. Which throws a spanner into the whole dynamic.
It's Holly is the ship's computer, though, because she just seemed like she didn't give a shit.
Well, yeah, no, yeah. Actually, they did introduce a female character in Holly.
She was
female
a computer.
Holly, but that didn't destroy it.
She's a computer
Rachel.
though.
That was just a face on a screen. Didn't really.
Yes.
Well, you'd think it would change something.
This didn't really matter.
Not really.
No, it didn't change anything really. Well, it was but yeah, it's I don't know. She was too. I don't know. She was just too freaking competent. Would probably be the best word.
She suffered from the same thing that most female characters suffer from. The thing we talk about in every bloody NerdCast now, you know?
Yeah.
Not allowed to have.
Yeah, maybe we should avoid talking about it again. It's just it didn't work. They couldn't make her just a
I've been a little bit harsh. Kochansky wasn't the reason series 7 and 8 didn't work. She was just one of the symptoms of it not working. Rod Grant left. I think it was one of the writers left. Apparently the writer who had all the decent sci-fi ideas, even behind some slightly dog-eared sort of concepts that Doug Naylor comes up with. Because the way Kochansky was introduced, it was like, oh, this is suddenly a wormhole to another dimension where people are slightly different, but still 3 million years in deep space, just in a slightly different combination of characters. Oh, that's handy.
That was bullshit.
Yeah.
What's this? It's just actually.
That was on the episode you saw, was it?
I did like the episode where Rimmer kills the woman. It was one of those incredibly confusing ones where you can't really follow the plot line, but there was something happened and they got back to Earth and he shoves her in front of a bus.
That thing, yes.
That was awesome.
That was one of the redeeming moments in the dark energy in between series 9 and in between series 8 and 10 that we can't talk about at all.
Oh, because
why are you talking
of your
about
self-imposed limitations?
It was so bad. It was one of the worst things ever made.
Let me clarify something. Is series 10 the one where Rimmer finds out that his dad isn't a school teacher and is actually a landscaper?
And yeah.
Yeah, that was that. You know, those few episodes weren't that bad.
They tried to get back to the original format for those few, but you know, I didn't watch it. I only just watched that last week, just for the case of this show. I deliberately put an embargo on that season just to punish them for what they did in that so-called season 9.
There's not enough alcohol.
Coronation Street. You guys don't know what Coronation Street is, but it's a fucking soap opera. I don't even know what the American
we-
equivalent would be. And they did the meta thing where they slip into the real world out of the Red Dwarf universe. Yeah, it didn't work for the League of Gentlemen, so why the fuck would it work for Red Dwarf? But no, it was self-referential and up its own ass and just.
You mean the last season?
No, the season 9, the thing before season 10.
Oh yeah, alright, gotcha.
But I punished them by
10
not
for
watching
me
season 10. Season 10 wasn't that bad.
Well, it wasn't that bad. It got back to its roots. I think it lost some. I don't know. It doesn't feel the same because they're so much older now.
Yeah.
It feels like before it was believable because maybe their youth, and now it just seems, I don't know, that the suspension of disbelief is harder now. If that makes any sense.
No, it does make sense.
It's now an effort.
Well, there's
it's
still
like,
sort of. I think they're still bolting it together at the last minute, like they did back in the day, and that might be why it has that slightly amateurish feel to it, which is, possibly what they were going for, because that was one of the good things about it. It looked as sort of punk as it was, because it was made on the cheap and quite quickly and quite desperately.
Mm-hmm.
But in this way around, they were supposed to be celebrities going into it, all big shots and such. So it's all a bit confusing.
Is it bad that the episode that I remember most is the one where Ace Rimmer just like sort of skydives out of the plane after fighting some Nazis in there, and then he just sort of surfs down on the alligator?
Yeah. I think that was a scene that Chris Barry specifically wanted to do, because he was leaving halfway through that season. He went, right, I'll do half a season if I could do a James Bond scene at the beginning of it.
Oh god, yeah, that is a great scene. Oh my god. Yeah, and also, I guess we should probably talk about the episodes that relate somewhat to gender, insofar as a story about a humanoid cat, a robot, a hologram, and the last human being who happens to be a man could relate to gender.
It's a good little story of how men can get along.
Yeah, well, for a certain quality of getting along, I don't know how much Rimmer and Lister got along in the end, really.
Well, the whole point is they get along because they hate each other, or something.
Yeah, or something, yeah. Well, the mystery for the ages, but you were telling.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Is it bad that, like, basically, if they had all been female, they would start out with, like, 5, and there would be only 2 remaining? Just saying.
They did an episode where they went to a parallel dimension where all the genders were flipped, and they tried to do all the jokes regarding that. And, it was a bit hitty, a bit missy.
I'm just saying they would all kill each other.
I think Brian wants to talk, actually.
Go on, Brian.
Yes, we'll talk about the episode where Lister got pregnant.
I just wanted to comment on it. I think, and this might be something about British comedy shows or sitcoms, like it. I think that it's really interesting that Red Dwarf appears for a show that came out in the late 80s, that it was so kind of ahead of its time in so many different ways. And it did it in such a, like, there was something about, I guess, what it appeared to me was the people who were making it really just wanted to make something good and funny and entertaining and maybe even a little, thought-provoking in a way, like intelligent, I guess, for lack of a smart comedy. And they weren't concerned with anything political and, sort of like, no, I don't know, there didn't appear to be any bias other than trying to make something really good and funny. And so one of the main characters was like a black guy, but like, and even like they had like a varied cast of people with different backgrounds. I think one of them, the guy who plays the cat, was like a dancer, and the guy who one of the other guys is a stand-up comedian, and another one is like was a professional actor or something. So they had like a good amount of variety, and I was pretty taken aback by how impressed I was with that, because We were talking about how in American shows we don't usually take these kinds of risks. Also, there is the idea that I think a lot of the early seasons were done in front of a live studio audience. Is that right? Like
The first 6 of them all were.
So it was almost like a play that was being recorded, sort of like a stage production that was basically being recorded, which I think made the performances stronger. Because from what I've heard, so let me know if I'm wrong, but when they stopped doing the live studio audience, the actors' performances were less like they were just sort of less into it because there was no studio audience to play off of, perhaps. I don't know. And I found that to be also really interesting. So I don't know what you guys could speak to that. And then I have a question after that.
I would concur. Also, it's funny you mentioned the race thing because they did take it to America to do a pilot, and they swapped Lister for a 6'3", chiseled white guy, and they eventually swapped the cat for a white woman.
Oh my God!
That's just what happens. It was terrible, and it didn't take off at all. Thank fuck.
Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, so now I have a question for those of you who watch the show. What is your favorite series or season and your favorite episode? It might not be in the same thing, but I'll go around. Allison, what was your favorite season and favorite episode? Go.
Oh God, that's a hard question because now it's all a blur in my mind. I'd have to rewatch it. I would say I actually like season 4. And my favorite episode, that's really hard. I like the polymorph.
The polymorph?
I like the polymorph. Yes.
That's in season 3, by the way.
Okay, well, it doesn't have to be in the same season, right?
Just random trivia. Sorry.
Okay. Well, thank God you're not being a smart aleck to me.
Never.
That would be.
Not. I apologize for nothing.
I regret nothing. No, I would say I love that polymorph and the sausage.
Polymorph's an awesome idea. Just for,
and Lister being strangled by the sausage. Yeah.
Oh.
And that's not as horrible as it sounds. No, it's not
what
as.
What does clitoris stand for? Do you remember?
Sorry.
What does clitoris stand for? Do you remember? The Committee for the Liberation and Integration of Terrifying Organisms.
Give me a moment.
And their rehabilitation.
I can't do it. Yeah, but I know. I remember that. Yeah. And it's funny how Rimmer turned into I don't know what, a hippie.
A social justice warrior, basically.
Of some kind. Well, but the thing is, he removed all his rage?
Anger, yeah.
Yeah, and then he turned into some sort of I don't want to say social justice warrior because that would require a considerable amount of bullying and rage, but just sort of a
peacenik.
A peacenik.
Yeah.
And then they removed Lister's fear, and he turned into a ridiculous stereotype of testosterone.
Raging action hero type.
A raging action hero, and then they took away Crichton's sense of shame, was it?
Guilt, yeah.
And he turned his sense of guilt, and he turned into an asshole. And then they took away Kat's vanity, and he turned into a nerd.
No, he turned into a bum, I think, a sort of.
That was the next polymorph one.
That was the season 6 one. He turned him into Dwayne Dibley.
Yeah, that would be my favorite, and I think possibly it's my favorite because of the sausage, Lister being strangled by a sausage.
There is something unique about that.
Yeah, it's awesome, and then Crichton trying to wait. Okay, and the polymorph turns into Lister's pants or his underwear, and then it starts to shrink. And Lister's desperately trying to get his underwear off, and then Crichton starts to help him, and Rimmer walks in, of course.
Just what inspired your fan fiction, Alison? Is that what got you going?
What? Sorry? Go ahead. Repeat.
Was it this that you told me you wrote fan fiction about, or was it something else?
No, I wrote fan fiction about Red Dwarf.
Oh, no!
Indeed. Yes, it was a 250,000 word / fan fiction, and if you don't know what slash is,
it's
when you create A sexual relationship
Getting
between
hot
two
in
male
here.
Quiet, Rachel. Quiet.
Which ones? This is important.
Rimmer and Lister. Rimmer and
Oh
Lister.
my god.
This is 250,000 words.
Oh my
And I got these comments from the fangirls.
God.
You wrote 250,000 words and you didn't write an actual sex scene. Troll.
Problem, officer.
Oh man, that was fun. Ooh.
Chew
Oh
is-
yeah, okay. I think you should move
but then
on.
I don't have any room to speak. I mean, especially after what I wrote about Kami and Mr. Popo.
Yes.
Whoa. So,
Okay, but that's getting off topic, so
Okay.
maybe ask somebody else that question,
yeah.
Brian.
So, Mr. Mike, favorite season and favorite episode, they don't have to be the same.
Yeah, season 4 was kind of had the most consistent sort of interesting premises for episodes. The one with the despair squid was probably the best sort of constructed plot, so to speak, because they all think they're going. They all go into this hallucination where Red Dwarf is all just a computer game, and that all runs around. And I can't really reveal much else without
Wow.
giving spoilers, but it's what they basically tried to copy in the fucking season 9 bullshit. It's one of the other reasons I hate that thing.
So, the computer game simulation episode and season 4 was the
It's gone
computer.
back to reality, I think it was.
Was that in season 4 or is that?
Well, that was in season 5, I think.
Oh, okay.
It was at the beginning, but there's a lot of, you never know which order the episodes come in around that sort of period. It's sort of interchangeable, which is good in a way. You don't have to keep up with the plot, with the arcing plot too much.
Okay. Rachel, I know you
Oh.
may not watch it all, but of the ones.
I gotta say that it all kind of runs together for me, because the way that I first watched this show was because they actually run this on PBS, right? And God, I was about 19 when I was watching that regularly, like every night when they would just air that on PBS, like the old reruns and stuff that we would get over here. So I have no idea what season is which. They were just, but I mean, I'm trying to think. There were a lot of interesting ones. I think one that was particularly fucked up. I think it was they end up back in time, and then at one point Lister, I think, is face to face with himself as an infant in a box under a pool table.
Yeah, that was in season 7.
What?
Yes!
That's the only season you've seen.
Yes!
You're allowed to like it, so I'll let you off.
That is so strange. Like, oh God. Well, that's the thing. It feels like these fragmented pieces of different things that get shoved.
Oh yeah,
But
Lister's
I think they
Lister's
allowed-
his own father. He left himself in a box under a pool table when he went back in time. It's one of
Oh
those
yes, he's his
things
own
they're allowed
father.
to throw in just because
Yeah.
it's a comedy sci-fi show and you can do that.
It's just so many weird things. I don't know if I could really feel like I favorite one over another. I kind of like it all. With the exception of the newer seasons. Fuck them.
Okay.
Fuck them.
I heard from a review that I watched to sort of get prepared about an episode that sounded super interesting, but I guess it was the cast. They didn't like it that much because of the amount of costuming they had to do, but it was the favorite of many. It involved I think it's called Angels and Demons or something like that, and there's there are like super goody versions of them, and there's super like bad and devilish versions of the characters. Do you know about that one? Am I doing this all wrong? And
Yeah, that's a good one. They got some pretty fucked up sort of action scenes in that one. It's all a bit sort of Hammer horror in places.
yeah, and they have like crazy costumes and like especially the evil ones. Like they one of them looks like Dr. Frankfurter from Rocky Horror Picture Show.
What?
Yeah.
I need to see this episode. I need it in my life.
I'm going to lash you to within an inch of your life, and then I'm going to have you.
Oh,
I didn't fully understand what that line meant when I was a boy.
Oh yes, that episode.
Wait. There was an episode, I recall. Okay, there was the one, now that I think about it, this one probably gave me the most joy. Because Rimmer suffered, like, horribly. There was, like, this area where all of the, I think they came in contact with another ship where there was housed this database with a whole bunch of different holograms. And Rimmer was there, and they were talking about how sex is mandatory and things like that, and he was in heaven, and they made him go back. He couldn't live there with the holograms.
Okay, yes, that was a really good episode.
It was his paradise, and it was all taken away.
Yeah, but the thing is that it wasn't taken away from Rimmer. He actually gave it up because the female hologram who he fell in love with was going to have to be erased, I think, in order to replace him, so he could go on board the ship, and he gave it up for love. So it was actually sort of sweet.
Yeah,
insofar
a few episodes that sort of.
Okay, then I don't remember it as well, but it was just kind of, I don't know. Rimmer's kind of a douchebag.
Yeah, that's his thing.
Yeah, he's a douchebag.
I love to hate him. It's sort of a weird mix. Like, he's so entertaining when he suffers, though. And it's usually, and he suffers not because it's usually his own doing.
This is how most British sort of comic heroes operate. They're not there to be the wisecracking good guy. They're there to be the fuck up.
It's not anything that was done to him. It's always his own doing.
Yeah, but in this case, he actually, the bad stuff that happened to him was sort of romantic. It's in a certain quality of romantic. But
he came into the episode saying, that'll never happen, and then it happened to him. So it was all.
And it was like, yay, I could have everything, but instead I'm stuck with you guys forever. Shit.
I think it does require a certain. It requires a certain level of ability, like skill in writing, to make a cast of characters that are all pretty flawed, and there's even some of them, like the one you're talking about, is so he's got so many flaws, and you're supposed to hate him, but you don't. And I think that's actually a really difficult thing to pull off, and be successful, Where it's like he has all these negative qualities, you're like, man, I don't want to like this person, or I shouldn't, or I feel like I shouldn't, but I do. And
I do like Rimmer.
Face only both of them are assholes.
Yeah, I do like Rimmer. He's unfortunately named, but
I don't think it's unfortunate at all.
I know. I mean, unfortunate but hilarious, as it were.
I think it makes sense.
You haven't met the Rimmers I've met.
He's the kind of person that would just, give a rim job to somebody up in power to get ahead. That's kind of why.
But yeah, it's that was a good episode. I think it was interesting because just to bring it to sort of like the usual topics that we talk about. What was interesting is if you juxtapose that episode you talked about, Rachel Hollowship, with another episode where the one where Lister gets pregnant and they meet themselves from an alternate universe where the genders are swapped and women are men and men are women. And what's interesting is that the way they changed the way they fucked around with the characterization of both Lister and Rimmer to create these female Lister and female Rimmer. And in particular, one scene where the four of them are on the bar, and female Rimmer is hitting on male Rimmer, and really, really like a really boorish way. And what I found funny about it, and it was good, they did this for entirely political reasons, like this writing that they did, which is really unfortunate.
You reckon?
Yeah, and it was like, female Rimmer hits on male Rimmer in the bar. And what's interesting is if you look at male Rimmer's behavior in Hollow Ship, the female hologram that eventually has sex with him and he falls in love with had to practically drag him back to her bunk. Rimmer is a lot of things, but he would never be that aggressive with a woman. And yet they have this female Rimmer breaking character to make a message about, I guess, male sexual harassment on female. And what I found funny about that episode is it seemed like pretty accurate to reality that I've seen in the bar scene, which is when women hit on men who don't really want to be hit on those certain women. And men are trying to not very politely decline without getting their asses kicked by a bouncer. So I'll throw that back to the rest of everyone because I don't even know if I'm being heard.
It was interesting how they made the female Rimmer basically a sexual predator, which is, what many things Rimmer is. He's not a full-on, leg grabbing,
No,
So-
throughout the series he was always very shy around women.
Yeah.
Until he was like throwing him in front of a bus, but.
But you
But
never
to
know
be
what's going to
fair to
happen.
him,
If you meet your alternative dimension gender flip, then one of you is going to be the first to turn into the sexual predator. Surely.
I don't know if I agree with that assessment.
No,
Necessarily?
I was throwing it out there as a silly place.
Yeah, nor do I agree with the idea that you would end up having sex with yourself.
Not necessarily.
Fuck, that would be weird.
Maybe if you're in
That'd fuck
good
me.
space.
That fucked me hard.
I'm sure you would, Rachel. And we love that about you.
I would.
For fear of any other emotion.
I would give me a bloody good probing before I try fucking me.
Yeah, but you'd be female.
Just lay back.
But then you would also be male, I guess.
If I met my gender flip, quite likely we'd get into an argument and then go at it for days, driving everybody else around us nuts until they would tell us to shut up.
Oh boy, then I'm living with my gender flip.
Yikes.
No. What?
Hmm?
No, that's. Now we got into the awkward flailing place.
Wait. Your gender flip is a cat lord?
Or a cat.
Yes, or a cat. I don't know.
That explains a lot.
Oh god. No, I don't think he's my gender flip.
That's.
Now we're probably getting into who would be your gender flip.
I don't know.
I actually think that Karen's boyfriend might be in some ways, which is really fucking weird. I don't know why I even said that.
What?
Okay, I'm gonna move on.
Okay, now people are gonna write.
Is everyone
fanfiction
picturing
about
what I'm
this.
picturing?
Yeah.
And the fanfics that are going to come out of that.
Yeah, get to work on that, you guys. Rule 30.
Oh my god.
I'm sure it's already out there.
Okay, that's just too weird. I think I am definitely.
And you'll be
on
wearing
Karen's hit
those
list.
feet pajamas too. Ah,
The feet pajamas.
you know the one where that makes you look like a hamster.
Those are not feet pajamas. Those don't have any feet.
Oh, they don't?
They're some sort of footless, full body pajama thing.
Oh, okay.
Made out of felt.
Kigurumi, yes.
So one
Yes.
other thing that happened on the show was there was an alternate version, I think it was of Rimmer, that had like done everything right. Do you know anything about this character?
That's Ace Rimmer. That's the thing Rachel was talking about. Rachel saw his third, in fact, appearance of that particular sub-character, recurring sub-character. It's Rimmer from another dimension. There's a dimension jumping device. It takes you to alternate dimensions where every version of you is played out.
Oh, okay. And that version probably wouldn't, even though he was like really good at everything and he had the great hair and all that. He wasn't like a ladies' man either.
Oh,
No, he
yeah,
was.
he was.
Okay, that's what I.
He was a ladies' man. He was confident. And
That
he
was
like,
the deal with
yeah,
with the hair, with the with the floppy hair. I think that was makeup
we're going
trying
to have
to
some
make
breakfast
him
and some sex.
as handsome as possible. As difficult as that sounds.
Ace Rimmer, that's right. That was
Yeah.
What a guy! Sorry, any man who can ride an alligator through the clouds is...
You don't ask for much, do you?
No.
No.
Maybe a sword.
Okay.
Just... No.
There's something to be said
Yeah.
for be easily pleased.
No,
Yeah.
I have some standards, but we're not going to talk about that here.
Okay.
Maybe
We'll
we
start
could
with a
move on
full voice.
to.
Next time on BadgerPod Nerdcast, Rachel Stick.
It
But
involves
now-
a Victorian library and a desk.
For now, we're going to move on to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Which,
Hooray!
I think would be a lot of fun. And Mike has also done the reading for that, or will do the reading for that. So please, sir.
Alrighty-roo. Hi. Hello. I need to find my words. Hang on. There's one
Any
particular...
minute now.
Shut up!
Okay.
There's
Well,
one...
yes.
There's one particular thing I love about Hitchhiker's Guide that I also love about Red Dwarf. It's what happens when people tell me, the books were better, the series wasn't true to the books. Because then I get to present my smarmiest shit-eating grin and inform them that the series came first and the books came second, and any incongruences between the media were in fact instances of the books not being true to the series. Yes, that's right, folks. The creative process does not always initially coalesce in the form of a single slab of pulped timber. Sometimes innovation is brought to you by sprawling teams of techno-geeks, taking a combination of duct tape and state-of-the-art special effects, strapping them together way behind schedule, and only just managing to create unforgettable genius at the last minute. The original Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was a radio play, and a lot of it was recorded in an ordinary apartment building, with Zaphod Beeblebrox doing his lines from the upstairs toilet, with the engineer mixing it in the living room, while Douglas Adams was in the kitchen, frantically writing the next scene. I will tell you who Zaphod Beeblebrox is in a minute. Right now, this is what's important. That comedy series that's pretty much universally praised for its mind-expanding and eclectic layers of epic, effortless world-building, that brief but legendary work that is loved and recited with camaraderie and glee by pub-dwelling urchins and university professors alike, it was conceived, devised, and executed by people who had no idea what they were doing. They came in late, they broke everything, they argued, they cut corners, they chopped and changed and screwed up 1,000 times before there was anything resembling a coherent project. You will find it is not at all uncommon for the most timeless art to be created entirely by the seat of the pants and the skin of the teeth of not just one inspired writer, but a well-oiled yet awkward geek-flailing group of pioneering audiovisual artists. So bear that in mind before you go judging people's intelligence on how many books they read. Welcome to the new media. Some of us have been on board since the early 80s. Anyway, one day, on a mostly harmless planet called Earth, an ape descendant named Arthur Dent awoke to find his house about to be bulldozed. A friend of his named Ford Prefect turned out to be an alien from the vicinity of Betelgeuse and informs Arthur that the aforementioned planet Earth is about to be demolished by a Vogon constructor fleet. While the Earth is indeed demolished, they beam aboard a constructor fleet, as you do, and are then promptly ejected into space and are, by a finitely improbable coincidence, picked up by a vessel travelling across every point in space, piloted by two people whom Arthur once met in a party in Islington. An astrophysicist named Trillian and a two-headed alien named Zaphod Beeblebrox. I'll be up to speed now. Good, good. At this point in the story, we've already been introduced to the central character, a book called The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Except it's not a book, it's an electronic book, so nya. It's a diegetic object, an object within the story, which Ford gives to Arthur to read whenever a cheeky little bit of exposition is needed. As a result, the narrative of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is largely composed of exposition, told by an ebook. Very elaborate, usually hilarious, and often strangely educational exposition. In its pupil stages, Hitchhikers was intended to be a sketch show, with different sets of futuristic characters embodying different satires. The inspired decision to string it together with a single plot is a feat seldom achieved since, even in sci-fi. The star of the show is not a human. It's not even an organism. Hell, it's not even a protagonist. The star of the show is the world building itself. Those fascinating details that you want to know more about. The discovery of the Babelfish, the importance of a towel, what happens if you drink more than 2 Pangalactic gargle blasters, and how or why a bowl of petunias would say, "Oh no, not again." Normally, a story's acid test is, does it move you? Does it make you care about the characters? Do you want to know what happens next? And in Hitchhikers, the fate of the characters rather takes a back seat. What really keeps you gripped is finding out which bits of this world are going to be revealed next. What happens at the end of the universe? Coming right up. What's the answer to life, the universe, and everything? Coming right up. What do you get if you multiply 6 by 9? Or they leave that one sort of open-ended.
Are you concluded?
Yeah.
Hello.
Oh, and don't watch the movie. It's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
I didn't hate the
Unfortunately,
movie.
Unfortunately, Rachel, yeah, the movie was. I know that you watched the movie and you liked it, but the movie was so.
I
God.
watched the show and I watched.
They had to make it center around Trillian, and that destroyed it.
Yeah, that destroyed the
Okay,
entire...
I will admit that was fucking stupid.
Yeah, all that was good about the movie was the trappings.
What about
They
the
had
bit
just
with
shot. Sorry, go ahead.
What about the bit with the dolphins?
No, that was the trappings. That's the thing. They didn't,
Aw.
it's just like Hitchhiker
All
was
things
great.
I like.
Like what Mike is saying is exactly right. What's great about Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is the world building.
That's what I liked
It's
about
not
it.
any particular character, but they didn't. I don't know how you would make a movie about that.
And the,
How would you make a movie
robot was
about
made.
that?
The robot was played by Alan Rickman.
You could make a movie about that.
Perfect.
You just have to realize that your audience is the rest of the world and not Hollywood.
Huh.
I've spoken to several
But yeah,
people
I mean, but the thing
who've
is-
had pipe dreams of doing a stage show of it, which would be pretty awesome. Or maybe even a musical of it, which would possibly not be as awesome. Oh yeah, you never know.
Musical, but the thing is that what would the songs be?
I dread to think. I really do.
No, that was actually the
Or like
one
the
good thing
towels.
about the movie was the song "So Long and Thanks for All the Fish." So that would have to be in it.
Yeah. But the thing, well, how I don't know if I agree with you, Hannah. I don't know how Hollywood would make a movie that's really about world building. Oh wait, Avatar.
Well, it could, like I said, it could be done. They would just have to, abandon their own self-importance and the self-importance of academia and all the little rules they've set up for themselves and each other, and actually just do it. In other words, they'd pretty much have to be what Mike described, and they're not. They used to be, but they're not.
The problem with Hollywood making a film that revolves around the world as opposed to characters is the actors. They would want too much. I mean,
Yeah.
they'd have to be altruistic enough to say, look, we want to make this about this, so that no single characters, their arc isn't particularly important, or how much screen time they have, or any of that, because we're making this about the world more, and I don't know that the culture of Hollywood is one that would do that, because like the way I see it, what I noticed about what makes Hollywood different from other countries and the way that they do film is in Hollywood is where there is specifically almost a hierarchy. Like if you're the it actor or actress, then you need to star in whatever you're going to be in for the time that you are it. And then as you sort of wane in popularity, or as you grow in popularity, you might play more supporting roles or even like smaller roles. If a large or big name actor appears in a film for a really short time, they call that a cameo, and even then they get paid like, most of the time they get paid a lot of money. So it's all about them and what they're getting out of what they're giving. And I say that that's different from other places because I've seen in films that are made in Europe or in China, for example, where an actor could be the star of a movie in 1 minute and play a really small role the next, but it wouldn't be considered a cameo because they don't put the same amount of value on that. So that's the problem with, I think, them doing that in Hollywood. I think that they could do that if the UK did it, for example, because over there it seems to me that the actors there, even the bigger ones, like there's a show that I like, and I don't want to get too far off on the tangent, but I like this show Extras, and on that show, every episode they have like a big star, and they do a little funny bit, playing off of Ricky Gervais as playing like a parody of themselves. In America, no actors typically would not, come out and say, well, I guess I'll, Bradley Cooper's, I guess I'll do an episode of this thing. He'd rather be like, well, no, I got like this $7 billion movie I'm going to make, instead. So there's just a different attitude around the craft of acting and making film and television and and entertainment. So I don't know that I think that's the reason why a large budget film like The Hitchhiker's Guide, even though I enjoyed it for what it was, but I saw that it wasn't right somehow. That's just sort of like the nature of the beast when it comes to Hollywood.
That's why
It was trillion.
it is why independent filmmakers are sort of, well, look at what happened with Clerks. I mean, depending on their capability and depending on what they've actually created, independent filmmakers are actually seeing some success because Hollywood has limited itself this way, and their inability to break out of that is probably going to, with digital cameras and computer software and everything becoming more commonly available at better quality and better capability. I don't know. Maybe Hollywood's not going to become irrelevant anytime soon, but I can certainly see the same thing happen with movies that has happened with music and video games, where there is a lot of competition between the independent and the establishment.
Yeah, I've said some pretty harsh things about the BBC recently, because they're pretty much outdated now. But which is not to forget that back in the day, they when they were harnessing new technology and they were on the cutting edge of it, they were pioneers of this stuff, and they were cracking it every time. But now everyone's got that stuff, and there's no reason to be paying them to own a TV anymore.
Yeah, it used to be the same thing with American television, American sitcoms. Maybe not quite as fly by the seat of your pants, but definitely a lot freer than it is now. You look at some of the old shows, like not just even just from the 70s, even the stuff I grew up with, WKRP in Cincinnati, which is like the show full of smartassery. It was nothing like what you've got today, where you can't say anything and you can't do anything, and everything has to be politically correct and every joke has to be mundane, because if you get too out there with it, unless being too out there is the theme of the show and there's discussion about how out there and edgy the show is, it becomes so offensive to the viewer and to the rest of the media that there's extensive discussion about that, and it ends up getting ruined.
Yeah, that is one of the things that I noticed that's a problem with a lot of American TV. Speaking of the BBC, that's I'm sorry, for my ignorance, but that's paid for with taxes. Is that right?
It's paid for with TV licenses mostly.
Oh.
That's sort of how they tax us. Unless there's other taxes on top of it, there's all kinds of things I don't understand about taxes.
That's still a roundabout
It's
kind of
taxed
tax.
all the way down.
Yeah, but
And
yeah, you
licensing
can't
is just a
own
roundabout
you
tax.
can't own a TV without paying the BBC to own that invention. I don't know how they get away with it.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so
They
back.
get away with it because it's somebody else's problem.
Oh yeah, but one of the reasons why.
Oh, is this somebody else's problem field? Great reference, Hannah.
That's how they get away with
Okay.
everything. Fighting it is somebody else's problem.
Yeah.
It's true.
I think Brian wanted to say something.
Oh, no, the
Could
reason
you
why.
before you continue?
Yeah,
Could you
yeah.
please explain the spider coffee reference?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so to the chat, I stepped away to check on my spider coffee because basically what happened was I was getting ready to make some coffee before the show, and there was a spider with a web and some kind of cocoon with eggs inside of my coffee machine, and I had to get rid of it, obviously, because I didn't want to drink spider. And when the light shined on it, the spider crawled inside of the filter where the water comes through. So I couldn't get the spider out. So I was like, okay, I'm going to clean the coffee machine out, which should wash the spider out, and then I'll be able to have some coffee. So I was just checking on my spider coffee to see the spider was gone, and I don't know, and it's kind of scary because I want coffee, but I don't know how badly I want it.
So
That's
the itsy bitsy
horrifying.
spider climbed up your water spout, but when you put in the rain, it did not wash the spider out.
I don't know if
The fucking nursery rhymes lied to us.
yes.
False advertising.
For all I know,
It's horrifying, isn't it, right?
crawled up
I don't want to alarm you, Brian, but there's an egg sitting on your house.
There was almost. I almost had eggs in my coffee. That would have been so.
Tiny
Nutritious.
spiders in your coffee, Brian.
It would be perfectly
Tiny
nutritious.
glass spiders
Yeah.
with eyes like humans' eyes.
See,
They
people
cry.
don't- This is the fear. This is the phobia that people didn't know they had, and now you're triggering them,
Yeah.
Brian. I hope you're happy.
Trigger warning,
We've
spider
entered
coffee.
we've entered the fear.
I play a next
We've
card.
entered the fear. No spiders.
Wait,
I
is
triggered
that
my
a
X cards.
coffee phobia or something? I don't know. What the fuck?
Yeah. No. That's that's the spider coffee reference. So there you go.
Well, Mr. Prickly in chat says
There we
it's
go.
not the spider you see, it's the bunch you don't see.
I know.
Exactly.
It's always the spider you don't see.
Wriggling down your
always.
throat.
Bit of trivia, I don't know if this is true or not, but it's been repeated to me quite often. Unless you're in a climate where the temperature is prohibitive to their existence, you are never more than 3 feet away from a living spider.
I believe it. I just
I don't fear spiders. I don't fear the creeper.
No, I don't fear them. I just don't want to eat them, swallow them, have them inside of me. I don't want that. I don't want a spider inside me.
He doesn't want things inside
Yeah,
him.
because
Don't even fear that. Bring it on.
then you end up with a cat and a dog and I don't remember what else she swallowed to catch each individual thing, but
Oh, yeah,
you know,
right.
the little old
Do we
lady
have
that
anything
swallowed the
left?
Sorry
fly.
to catch the fly. I don't know what she's called, the fly. I
Swallowed
guess
the cat to
she'll
catch
fly.
the bird.
Do we have
the
anything else
cat
we want to
catch the
discuss
spider.
about Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
I was getting into that. Oh, and the little old
Because
lady.
I do have one thing about the movie.
The little old lady did swallow a horse, and then she died. Of course, that's how it ends.
Yes.
Yeah, see, so swallowing a spider can be deadly, obviously.
Can lead to all kinds of consequences.
Are you from...
The thing I was just gonna say about the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. What version do you guys like the most? I like the TV series. I think it was in the 70s. That was on. I think that was my favorite version.
I was actually introduced to the book first, and did not get to see the TV series until I was in college. So I should say the book series, because at that point it was 3 paperbacks when I first read them that were available, and then so on. But I'd have to say, because I really enjoy sitting and reading, that's my favorite, even though even though it didn't start out that way, and even though the books are not true to the original creation, I was the same way with E.T. I enjoyed reading the book that was based on the movie, even though there were differences between that and the movie. So I have to say the book series.
Okay, Mike.
I'm tempted to say the radio series just to be a fucking hipster, but the TV series was very faithful to it. So no complaints on that front. The TV series was pretty awesome. Although they stopped after 6 episodes and didn't carry on with the other half of it, I think. So the radio series carried on for a bit more, and presumably so did the books. I haven't read the books. I don't read. What am I, a nerd? Oh shit! Wait.
Yes, you're a nerd. Yeah,
I'm not that kind of nerd. I'm an AP nerd.
I understand this. The story doesn't really end, right? It doesn't have like an arc with a. Does it? I never finished it.
Something.
Depends
Didn't
on.
they all die?
Yeah, it depends on which you go with. The book series does have an end. Sort of.
The TV series comes to a very nice place for an ending, but that's not where the canon ends, so to speak. The movie ends halfway through where the TV series gets to, and then just closes. And I think, what the fuck? It's barely a quarter of the way through, what there is.
We just throw the movie out and say it doesn't exist.
No, it's there.
I like the book.
There are parts of the movie I like, but I honestly do feel that it is, of course, incredibly flawed, except with Marvin, the manically depressed robot, because, Alan Rickman is kind of my spirit animal, at least when he's a manically depressed robot.
As much as I do love the world building, I love Marvin as a character.
Yeah.
I do care about what happens to Marvin.
Yeah,
Well, and Marvin was the thing that redeemed the point of view gun. After
exactly
the point of view
Oh
gun.
my god, that's what I wanted to bring up.
Oh my god,
Oh,
that pissed me off so bad. But I loved seeing Marvin use it. That was awesome.
Okay, but we should say why the point of view gun pissed us off, and I will say it. I will because I think that I'm on the same brain length, as it were, as everybody else in the chat. When Trillian shot Zaphoid with the point of view gun.
Zaphod.
Yeah, Zaphod, whatever. And then Zaphod tried to use it on her. She essentially shrugged it off and said, "Well, I'm already a woman," because I guess standpoint theory. Standpoint theory. Men don't have their own a separate existence from women, of course. They don't have their own separate emotional existence or experience aside from women, and that all women have all access to men's entire emotional landscape. And strangely enough, in that context, I don't even know how to parse female men's rights advocates, because if all women have access to men's internal world, why don't they care about these issues? But anyway, that's getting really depressing. So I'll walk away from that.
Another way entirely, that she was simply such a bitch and so solipsistic and so arrogant that she had such strong belief armor against this thing, such strong belief that women have bigger experiences and more feelings and more understanding of those feelings in the world around them and all that she was immune to the gun, not because there wasn't another point of view for her to look at, but that even with the aid of such a device, she was wholly incapable of parsing it, of seeing it, or experiencing it.
It just bounced right off.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about it is that when they were talking about what the point of view gun was, they were saying that it was created specifically for women who are very tired of men of having the conversation that you just don't get it, do you? Basically saying that men are entirely incapable of empathizing with women, so that they need a gun to be able to understand them. It was really ridiculous. But then Marvin got the fucking thing, and he took out everybody with his sadness.
Yeah.
It's like a fucking weapon. it's like, oh, I'm so depressed. And I just like lay there and writhe around on the ground.
In all honesty, the idea that men can't get it as far as women are concerned, it's not entirely ridiculous if you look at women the way Jack Nicholson's character from As Good as It Gets looked at women. When somebody asked him, how do you write female characters? And he said, I take a man and I take away reason and accountability, or I think of a man and I take away reason and accountability. Well, if men are expected all of their lives to be accountable and exercise reason, what point of view would they have from which to get somebody who doesn't have to and chooses not to? It would be alien, completely alien. I mean, it's no wonder there are so many of them that are turning their backs on women.
Mm-hmm.
I love that movie.
A thought that I had while listening to what you said is and let's see if I can retrieve it because it's fluttered its way down into the depths of
Bacon
my
and plastic
brain.
baggies placed in the pockets.
What? Bacon and plastic baggies? What the?
Yeah, where's it like the movie? Because he said, okay, wait.
Okay, that probably obliterated it.
In the movie,
Oh.
As Good as It Gets, he places bacon in his pocket to get the dog to like him, but then it turned out that the dog disliked him anyway, and that the bacon was there for shits.
Bacon was irrelevant.
Okay, the bacon irrelevant.
And it's also relevant to this current conversation.
I'm sorry.
I mean, you got to admit that it is fair. Yeah, you be sorry.
It's
You
true.
sit in the corner and be sorry.
Sorry.
All right, and I'm going to try to retrieve that thought that you destroyed with the bacon and plastic bag.
Pocket bacon.
Okay, Hannah, you were saying that men can't understand women. Well, first of all,
No, that if men can't understand women, it is because we come from such an alien perspective of not having the same expectations and restrictions on us that they have.
Perhaps women don't want to be understood. Is that at all possible?
I don't think women understand women for the most part either. That's why they get offended by that line. That line is considered so offensive because women don't understand women.
Well, I understand that women, for the most part, don't know what they want. They know that they want.
I do know what I want. I want to talk.
Okay.
God, Rachel. All right.
You shall not talk.
Sorry.
You know, if you get a freaking mail with like the post office and going into your house and dropping it off, and it's bacon in a plastic baggie, you'll know who it's from. Right. Okay, now. All right. Shh. What I was going to say, which was to Hannah's point, is all of this is predicated on the idea that men should have to understand women, which is sort of predicated on the idea that it's an obligation to understand and then give something to women. And I find that interesting. But let's move on because I don't know. I think Rachel has permanently thrown me off my game with that. My God, Rachel.
I think you would be afraid to find out what I was thinking with the point of view gun
About the bacon?
It's probably things like pocket bacon is great, and also they feed horse meat to babies in other countries.
Oh my God, Rachel!
You know, the Man Show used to do something like that. It wasn't the point of view gun, but they would play a thing of women's secret thoughts, and it was often hilariously accurate.
But yeah, apparently there's baby food made of horse meat in like Italy.
Oh yeah.
And my
All right,
boyfriend.
okay.
It's common in other countries.
Yeah.
This is the NerdCast. We start with Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and then we end with horse meat baby food.
Yes.
Which is a pretty good tribute to Douglas Adams, whose writing was very jump around. I mean, he did that quite a bit. start one place,
Also, attention
start in one
deficit
place and end up
disorder.
somewhere entirely
Yeah.
different.
I think we've
I'm-
lost the men. I think we've now, the three of us have lost Brian.
Just
And
so
Mike.
everybody, just
Try
We've lost
to
him somewhere behind us. So
to-
we better.
Into? It's hard finding a gap to squeeze into, see?
Yeah, I was
Okay, well, you want. Yeah.
just waiting for an
Okay,
open.
well. Well, here
Has
it
to
is.
be a room
Oh
full
my
of
god. We'll jump. You know,
for an opening.
plunge right in, Brian. The opening is there.
Okay. Well.
Plunge in.
No, so did you guys know there's a place that serves the Pan-Galactic Gargle Blaster?
Really?
I hear
Oh,
it's
they're all over the place. It's not a sort of copyrighted term, so anyone can just call one of their cocktails a Pan-Galactic Gargle Blaster.
yeah. So there are places where you can get this drink, or at least the name of that drink. So take two, see what happens. Did I just promote rape culture by saying that? I mean,
Yeah, why not?
if that was, I don't know.
I don't know. I guess it depends on who heard it. Because if it was heard by a woman, then the answer is yes. If it was heard by a man, men can't be raped, at least according to feminist scholarship. So,
Fortunately,
well, at least the only
there's
feminist
no women here.
scholarship that's informing government.
I don't
There's
know.
no
I
men
think
here.
men are regularly raped by feminist scholarship.
There's nobody here but us chickens.
I would say that it rapes
Oh,
everybody.
fuck.
I would say that there's not a single hole that we've not been fucked in by feminist scholarship.
I agree.
All right.
It rapes
All
everyone.
right, okay.
But I've got room for more
You know
holes.
what? This is. You've got room for more
A whole
holes.
new hole.
Yes.
Yes, here we
Oh
go.
my god. Oh my god.
This is like this is what being strangled by a sausage feels like.
Yeah. Your whole life flashes before your eyes, and it's a series of flickering icons of people who sound drunk or out of it talking about.
Wait
Random
till we
shit.
talk about
I've seen
the,
enough hentai to know where this is going.
Wait till we talk about the bird of shame.
Yes.
One of these days we're
Enter
going to talk about the
tentacles.
bird of shame. It will be coming
Bird of
and
shame.
we'll talk about it.
Bird.
The bird of shame.
Yes.
Have you heard?
Hey, you heard about
The bird?
Everybody's heard about the bird.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. I want to ask the chat a question, and maybe
Yes,
just,
you can
if
answer
you guys
that.
want to. First of
Yes.
all, with some of the stuff that I've been asking, for those of you guys that are in the chat or anyone who's listening to this that's going to comment, what was your favorite season and episode of Red Dwarf and why? And for those of you who listen to the Hitchhiker's Guide half, what version do you guys prefer of that? And what other sort of Britishy sci-fi comedy medium stuff do you guys enjoy? I'm curious, and I think that we all are, to hear what you guys might have thoughts about. Also, what sort of gendery stuff, can do you think that we may not have talked about, or we just glossed over, that we could go into more with regards to both Hitchhiker's Guide and what the hell was the other thing? Red Dwarf. Sorry.
Oh, Dirk Gently! I like Dirk Gently. That was actually really cool.
Oh
What?
yeah, Dirk Gently.
Oh, that
we
was so
missed
fucking
Dirk
cool.
Gently.
Yes!
Oh my god.
Dirk Gently! You've never...
I knew if I brought that up.
The Holistic Detective Agency.
Yes!
Well, now's your chance.
It's
Talk
been
about
over 20 years since I read the that novel and The Long Dark Tea Time of the Soul. But I
the
thought I
BBC
would drop
did,
that into our chat.
Yeah, I did.
The
I watched
series
the
adaptation,
series. Unfortunately, they only made a few episodes.
it. Yeah.
Unfortunate. Makes me sad. It was
Okay.
actually pretty good.
All right, I think. What do you think, Brian? Shall we call it? Shall we
Yeah.
call it a day?
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah,
Somebody in the chat mentioned Spaced. That was the Simon Pegg show. I really liked that, but I haven't seen it in a while. Do you guys?
I have
Space
never
is
seen it.
legendary.
Yeah, that's good shit. Very funny.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great nerd references all throughout that. And someone else mentioned Buck Rogers.
Yeah.
So that's, I don't know if they're talking about that old 70s one where they're talking about, in 1984, Captain William Buck Rogers. That was never date your science fiction too close.
Yeah.
Well, we should talk about Flash Gordon one of these days.
Oh, I love Flash Gordon. Love it.
Oh no, not the boar worms!
I love that movie. I know it almost backwards and forwards. Who is he, Father? I want him. I'm sorry, my dear. Your tastes are too dangerous. I refuse.
I'm gonna fuck him anyway in a glider.
Oh yeah, taco salad mentioned Spaceballs. That's one of my favorites.
Yes, I love Spaceballs.
Yes, Spaceballs.
Spaceballs is good.
Spaceballs, a flamethrower. The kids love it.
I see your Schwartz is as big as mine.
Yeah, so those are all good. Well, let's wrap it up, and we could certainly revisit this stuff at a future time. So, second wave, die!
Also, wait, should we mention the thing that we mentioned before? Unfortunately, the man who created Ruby has unfortunately died.
Oh yeah, we should. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Oh geez, yeah. People on Tumblr they're like, is this real? Oh my gosh, tell me it isn't real. Yes, unfortunately it is real. The guy who created Ruby, which you may or may not be familiar with, it's a web series done by Rooster Teeth, and it's most notable because it's got like everything that Tumblr craves, which is a mostly female cast of girl badasses who are going to face their destiny, being hunters and taking out all kinds of nasty things. The thing about it is the first season is not very. I'm just gonna say yes. Unfortunately, he's died. His name is Monty Oum, and what unfortunately happened was he had an allergic reaction. I think they said in the middle of a surgery he fell into a coma, and unfortunately he didn't wake up. And he was only 33. Which is a lot because this may be the end of the series, and from what I understand, this is far from over. I mean, he was the director, the animator. I think he did most of the key animation on this, and writing and everything. So him being gone is probably the end of it. Yeah.
Aww. That description of that show reminds me of Queen's Blade. I'm sure it's nothing like that, though.
The thing is, they never really explain what's going on as much in Ruby. You understand it to be a universe that is different, that is just, somewhat different from our own in certain ways, but for the most part is somewhat the same, except some people have powers and they've got battle auras, and somehow, like, a tiny 13-year-old girl can wield a gigantic fucking, oh, god damn it, what do you fucking, staff thing. It's not a staff thing, it's a Grim Reaper thing. What's a, yes, scythe. Yes, scythe,
okay,
yes.
Gotcha. I got your back, Rachel.
Giant fucking scythe. Yeah, that's, all I'm gonna say is, watch the fucking series. There's a lot of things that are a little bit, the animation is really shit first season, to be perfectly honest, in many ways, and it still is shit in many ways. Second season, but they get a higher budget, so The thing to watch is all the battle sequences, and yeah, those are pretty sweet.
Okay, speaking of battle sequences, I have a question for the audience. Okay, tiger versus polar bear. Siberian tiger versus polar bear, which would win?
It's absurd.
And as a bonus, in 0G. That's a question! That's a question.
Now that's less absurd.
Question,
Now we're talking.
The rocket ship would fucking be the one who won because they'd just be whacking, like bumping into.
This is not for you, woman.
Can we also add another factor in there?
You can add another factor.
Yeah, can like the cage that they're fighting inside of be slowly being filled with like hornets or
How? How can it be filled with hornets in 0G?
Yeah, hornets are useless in 0G.
They're just gonna float and be like.
What you want is penguins. Listen to me. Listen.
You want penguins?
Around.
Yes. Mike is of the opinion that penguins would be deadly in 0G.
Yeah, totally. They can swim. like
So-
other birds can fly, which
So
some
it
people
can't be
can do it from
the
there. You know.
Okay, so it has to be in a cage in 0G on the International Space Station. A Siberian tiger and a polar bear are fighting to the death in a
How
cage,
do you
slowly
get them
filling
up
with
there?
penguins. Penguins.
I'm cool with penguins as long as they're purple penguins.
But they'll have to be
I
dyed
find
with
purple penguins
pet safe
trickery.
dye.
But how do we even get the Siberian tiger and the polar bear up there? I mean, can you imagine?
Very carefully.
Well, you
Well,
would have to sedate them.
Put
Well,
bacon
it
in your
doesn't.
pocket.
It doesn't.
Can you imagine
Yeah,
the
we'll just
confusion?
You can
We'll
lure
just
them in
give
with
them.
you can lure them in with pocket bacon. You'll be fine.
We just give them like hover
Ow.
shoes. We give
I'd
them
start
like
asking
hover
why.
shoes. Why do we give them hover shoes? So they can follow a trail of bacon
We
wrapped.
don't even have a hoverboard
No,
yet. It's 2015, and we still don't have our fucking hoverboards.
Or our
Okay,
Robocop, by
anyway.
the way.
Just saying.
Supposed to have Robocop by 2015. Was that about Detroit?
Yeah, Detroit. Fuck. Get it together.
Okay. All right. So that's my question to the chat, Brian. Since you are asking questions for the chat.
See, when there's gravity involved, it's obviously the polar bear because it's got the weight advantage. It's just crushed this tiger's skull just like pulp. But if it's zero gravity, then the tiger's got maneuverability. So it's a contest, and then it's interesting. We were talking about it earlier.
Yes.
Yes, but this is now posed to the listeners. Which would win? You can tweet the answer to
I say the
at
rocket ship.
Honey Badger Bite on the Twitters. And yeah, once again, it's a polar bear and a Siberian tiger in a cage on board the International Space Station, and the cage is slowly filling with penguins.
The penguins
That are
rock.
PETA
dyed.
hates you, Allison. PETA hates you.
No, the penguins are essential. They're essential.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Slowly
just saying,
filling
this-
with
this
penguins.
doesn't even
Quiet!
apply.
I'm setting the scene, damn it. Gosh. Just like fucking cock blocking me all the time, Rachel. Anyway.
I love doing that.
So, yeah, I've noticed. So it's slowly filling. This cage is slowly filling with penguins that are painted purple, with a humane pet dye.
Oh,
There you
the
go.
dye's humane,
That's
is it?
that's
The space fighting.
yes, the dye.
Yeah, the space fighting between animals is slowly but surely being filled with penguins. Yeah, those things totally humane, but dying the penguins, non-penguin safe.
Sandwich Heist wants to know if the penguins have lasers.
You know what? Fucking attach lasers. I think we need to give them both lasers attached, their necks, and just, or attach it to their heads. Fucking laser beams attached to their heads.
I do like the idea
the
of
penguins?
penguin lasers.
No, not the penguins. Like, the tiger gets one, and the polar bear gets one, and they just sort of are like, rah, and they're floating around in space, so there's a lot of collateral damage. And there's just...
Okay, all right. But here's the question: are the penguins sort of are they like a environmental obstacle? Like,
I don't know.
or
I think
are they
they're
actually their own? Are they actually their own part of the fight? Like, is it
Oh,
penguins
might the
versus?
penguins win? You say? Might they
I
be
don't-
a write-in third candidate for the crown?
They were the
Quite
winners.
likely to get eaten.
Possibly.
They were the winners of the Great Manatee War of 2000.
I just thought it was really important to include purple penguins so that we have a gender-neutral option, since that's what we're going with these days.
Mhm.
Title.
So wait, are you saying that we filled it with children?
No, I said we.
Oh my
filled-
god, you filled it with children! Small children are in the cage with them.
Where did the children come in?
Do you see what you've done? Because purple penguins, that was a replacement for the children. That was what they were going to call children instead of calling
Oh
them
my
children.
god!
So, see what you've done, Brian. See, now they're going to call child services on us. Even though none of us have. Wait.
Polar bear and Siberian tiger are just our code words for Justin Bieber and Miley Cyrus. This is what we're doing.
You know what? This works. Give them laser beams. You know what? One of them has to go. just saying.
There could be only one bat.
There can be only one asshole of great magnitude. I'm the most annoying. No, I am. I have the dumbest hair. No, I do.
Are you not
You have to
entertained?
realize this does not have a set in stone consistent outcome because you included a bear. And the way it goes is sometimes you win and sometimes you lose and sometimes the bear gets you.
Yeah, bears. Bears are a consistent worry of many people.
They are the chaotic element in our
Yes.
ordered universe.
And if we're going to have a polar bear and die in the same cage, there obviously needs to be a modern hippie in there trying to spray paint it so that hunters will not take its skin.
Okay, so what have we got in the cage so far? We've got
So we've got children. We've
fire
got penguins.
tiger. We got penguins, and we also got penguins painted purple, which is apparently school children.
Justin
And we've got
Bieber
hornets, and now we've got a hippie with a freaking. I don't think anything's moving in this cage because it's too stuffed full of shit.
You know, this should be like the next television show. The
One
next
more.
Television series.
This would work.
How
One more
much can you shove in a cage in space? How much shit can you shove in a cage in space?
Okay, for the chat, yes, Nikolai, I did once wrestle a bear. It was not a polar bear. It wasn't wild either.
Hey.
The bear still won.
Well,
Yes, the bear won. The
you're
bear
going
knocked
to.
me on my ass really quickly, rolled me over, and chewed on my butt for 5 minutes.
Wow.
By the way, bear slobber has a lot of starch in it.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know.
Well, I shouldn't say all bear slobber because that was a bear that
Not
was
all bears.
All right, you know what? I'm gonna shell.
different.
I'm just, this is the shell. This is the end.
Not all bears. Not all bears.
Yes, not all bears. Not all
Actually,
bears are like
not
that.
all bears.
One more thing before you shill. One more thing. For those of you who are going to reply with an opinion about who would win in a crazy-ass contest we just made, just so that we know that you're listening, I would prefer an animation or some kind of simulated video that reproduces the event, even if it's just like a little GIF, just so that I can get a picture in my head. It's got to be like the Deadliest Warrior, like with all the science to back it up.
Yeah,
Or like a
either
death
that
battle.
or you can give us a dissertation with cited facts and
Yeah.
on which one you think would win. It could be either a written or visual representation of the fight in the cage in space. And yeah, either is acceptable to us, but please do tweet your answers to @honeybadgerbite. And
I'm
thank
probably
you.
going to do a cartoon of this if I can't think of anything else in the next 2 weeks. So
Mhm.
yeah, you've got 2 weeks to get your answers in, or I'll win or something.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a winning here.
We all win. We just
The rocket ship wins because everybody's gonna be beaten against the sides of it, and eventually they get knocked out and run out of food.
Yeah. Okay. With that existential,
Everyone's a winner.
yeah. And when we were all purple penguins.
We've all got tiger
Everyone's
blood.
Yeah. All winning. All right, I'm shilling now. If you enjoy this, whatever the hell it is, people call us amateurish, and I say yes. If you enjoy it, please consider patroning us at www.patreon.com/honeybadgerradio. And yeah, we keep it. I don't know, what do we keep it, Mike? We keep it.
We keep it silly for as long as you need it silly. You had
Yeah.
50 straight minutes of silly there.
Yeah, you got a good long stretch of silliness to wade through. A good landscape of silliness, with some silliness beach, and maybe some silliness landscaping over there. A couple shrubs, 2 different layers to get a nice path effect.
Some silliness stars.
Silliness
Some
stars.
silliness nebulae.
Yeah.
Some silliness
Silliness.
galaxy clusters.
silliness sunset.
Silliness Quasar.
Just silliness craft out in the distance. Just pure silliness from here till wherever. And yeah, if you enjoy that, please do consider becoming a patron. And I'll hand this back to Brian to close out. Oh wait, do I have to shill other stuff?
Are you doing? Well, you already talked about finding capitalists. What about Sage? You want to do that,
I
or?
think his fundraiser's over.
Okay.
And then Nick was saying something in chat. He's doing a radio show, but as usual, he doesn't give a link or any information to where to find it. So
How about Triscuits?
our evil patriarchal overlord Nick is doing a radio show with Fetal Bogan on non-feminism. So if you can find where that is, go and see it.
If you can find non-feminism, then you found it.
Yeah. It's a world out there.
And it's a size.
And bears.
And bears and tigers and space cages with penguins in them. And
Cheese in a can.
I think it's time to say goodnight, people.
Yes.
All right.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. And if you're doing any of those artistic reconstructions of that battle I was talking about, I would make one minor request. I think it needs an audience, so please put a cybernetic Julius Caesar and a little Senate of Roman senators watching, because it needs an audience. So please add that in. They're just viewers. He doesn't have to be making a judgment.
Oh my gosh, you just described exactly the bar crowd that was watching when I wrestled Caesar the Wrestling Hero.
Cybernetic Julius Caesar? Oh, awesome.
Yeah, totally. They were all in it, I'm telling you.
Don't forget the pocket bacon.
By the way, do not try pocket bacon when you're wrestling a bear.
Doesn't help. Okay, good night, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.